Caterpillars are usually nature's punching bags, soft, squishy herbivores that can't do much to defend themselves. But there's some out there that decided enough is enough and pack some pretty vicious weaponry, including a few that inject painful venom. And the one I want to find today is particularly brutal, with dozens of sharp spines that break off in the skin of anyone who touches them, and release venom until they're removed. For something that can fly as an adult, it's honestly shocking how rare this caterpillar is. It only lives on a few tiny mountains and nowhere else on Earth. This sounds like yet another trip I'm gonna have to hop in a plane for and abandon my pets for a week if I want any chance of filming it. But for once, I don't even need to gas up my car all the way to find what I'm after, because the mountains that look over my hometown of Albuquerque, New Mexico, just so happen to have one of the world's densest populations of this beautiful yet brutal bug. All right, we've arrived in venomous caterpillar country. We're here in the Sandia Mountains of New Mexico, and this is a very special place because this caterpillar is only found in just a few mountains on Earth. A few in New Mexico, mostly in New Mexico, and just barely into Texas. So as a proud New Mexican, I'm very happy to hopefully find this species and highlight it. But I want to see it for another reason. I'm actually working on a children's wildlife book featuring the wildlife of these mountains. And on one of the pages, I drew this very caterpillar. So I've never actually seen it, I've drawn it. So I really want to put life to art and put a face to the name and really get a good look at this venomous caterpillar. The thing that brings the caterpillars to these mountains in particular is a tree called Gamble Oak. The Sandias are full of them, and animals of all sorts flock to these trees for the acorns they produce. But the caterpillars are actually after their leaves, and my best shot at finding one is by combing through hundreds of them until I find one munching away. Trying to find a green caterpillar among so many equally green leaves was giving me traumatic flashbacks at the time I had to find one ant mimic spider within a colony of thousands of weaver ants. And after beating what felt like the hardest game of Where's Waldo of all time, I think it prepared me for this. And sure enough, after an hour or so of searching, I found my venomous caterpillar. All right, we've not found one of the caterpillar we were looking for. We actually found two. They're up in the top of this little Gamble's Oak, and it's tricky because they're both on like opposite sides of one leaf, so I'm gonna try and just separate one. But let's get you guys a look at this. Look at that right there. That's the one I want, and if I didn't pay too much attention to my surroundings, I would just pluck off that leaf. But there's this one hiding right under it. And it's actually kind of like stuck to the leaf. There we go. Look at that. Gorgeous, gorgeous caterpillar. I'm gonna try and get you guys a good look by putting it on. All right, look at that. That is one of the coolest looking caterpillars on Earth. You see that like lime green chartreuse spines on it. And if you look really closely, you actually see these like blue highlights and its red legs. But that beauty isn't for nothing. This guy isn't just looks. This coloration is to warn predators about the wicked defense of this caterpillar. This is one of the very few species that's truly venomous. You may hear of other caterpillars, like something like a tussock moth, where its hairs are just irritating, but this guy is truly venomous. It has glands beneath its spines that inject a toxin to deter its predators. Now the name of this guy is the Zephyr-eyed silkmoth, and you may not see any eyes on it now, but when this thing grows up into a nice beautiful moth, it actually has these super gorgeous like bluish eye spots and just like a yellowish reddish hue to the rest of it. They're really cool. Now, even if you don't live in New Mexico, you might still have a little venomous caterpillar of your own, because this guy is actually very close relatives with something called the Io moth, and their caterpillar looks pretty much exactly like this, but lime green and red. But this guy is like the hot goth version. It has that really cool black striping, the blue coloration, and in my opinion, it's just the better caterpillar. Now, because this guy just lives in New Mexico, scientists don't know all that much about its venom. This is a very rarely studied animal. But from what I've heard from anecdotal sources, what this venom does to you is that it's very similar to something like a stinging nettle. It's going to be super irritating, extremely painful, lasts for hours, and all you have to do to get on its bad side is to give it a little pet. These spikes are like thorns. They'll exude that gland, that toxin into you, and it's gonna give you a really bad day. Now, just one of these caterpillars probably isn't that bad of news. Yeah, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna ruin your hiking trip, but the thing about this caterpillar is that you usually don't just find one. These things travel together, and just under one leaf you might find a ton. You can find a group of like 20 of these all together. And so if you're just bushwhacking through the forest, your hand touches a leaf, it could come in contact with a whole lot of venom from this really cool creature. So the Zephyr-eyed silkmoth caterpillar, one of the only venomous caterpillars we have here in America, one of the most gorgeous and one of the single rarest, and I'm very happy I could show you guys this amazing little invertebrate. Stick around for some other really cool insects found all across the country, and I'll see you guys next time.